Hey, my friends, it's Denise Walsh here. Welcome back to Coaching for Coaches, where we go live each and every week to talk about how to be an excellent coach and build a thriving business. And so today, I am going to quickly share this into some groups here, but then we're also going to interview a Dream Life Coach Gayleen, who is going to share some of her story from going from perfectionist into progress. And I think this is something we can all relate to, especially when you have a big dream, you've got a big heart, you want to get your idea out into the world, but it feels like a huge mountain and you don't quite know where to start. And then maybe you take a step and then second guess, right? And then claw it back, or insecurity pops up, or comparisonitis pops up, and you aren't sure what to do and where to go next. And so it feels like you're spinning your wheels. Now, perfectionism can take on a lot of cloaks, right? We sometimes pride ourselves on wanting things to be done right. You know, we're detailed oriented. We care about what we're working on and we want it to be done well. But sometimes we can use that as an excuse. And if you've ever dealt with self-sabotage, including analysis paralysis or perfectionism or second guessing, I want to put a "that's me" in the comments. We want to hear from you. But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be, because once you have the roadmap laid out for you, you can take that big mountain and turn it into bite-sized steps that you then can execute on. And so with that being said, big welcome to Dream Life Coach Gayleen. Woohoo!
Hello, everyone. Hi, Denise.
Hello. Thank you so much for being here with us today. So before we dive into your specific transformation story, I want to hear a bit about you, because you had been brewing the idea of becoming a coach for quite a while. And I want to hear a bit more about how and why that you think that was the case for you. And then also when you decided to actually do something about it.
Of course. So I have wanted to own my own business since I was a little girl. I grew up a military kid, oldest of two of both immigrant parents. And so I grew up traveling the world, and I love that my father served a country that he didn't belong to, for my brother and I to be able to have better lives. And so both my brother and I served in the armed forces, but I was always just this, I wanted to do something for myself. I wanted to do a little bit more. I think part of that had to do with seeing the military life and as all of the positives as well as the not so great sides of things, and wanting to be able to have a little bit more control over my kids' lives and my husband's, and just the life we were building together. So I did almost 10 years in the military service, and then transitioned into the financial industry for about 2.5 years. And it was in the financial industry that I realized I got the opportunity to build my own team. It's something I'd never done before. I was always given a team from previous, like somebody else was already there. I got to just inherit it. So that was really great. And I realized how much I loved the coaching and the mentorship part of developing a team, like helping people set goals and helping them figure out, okay, the solutions around how do they get there, helping them think through, talk through their fears and their emotions and what could be stopping them. And so it wasn't until my husband and I had a very difficult decision to make, because he is still in the military and he got a new assignment, that we had to make the decision of, do I stay in America and, keep my job, or do I make the leap and we go full time and do the coaching thing? And so that was a pivot point for me.
The pivot point was like, all right, we either do it now, right now is the time, essentially, where you were given an opportunity where you had to make a big move. And it was like, okay, well, if I'm going to do it, now is the time to go for it. But I love that you were honing in on your natural gifting and skills. You realize that this is something that lights you up. You love helping to see people grow. You love helping navigating their challenges, helping them go from where they are now to where they want to be. But starting a business isn't easy. And so I am wondering if this is where some of the perfectionism pops in.
Oh, definitely. And I would say too, even in realizing that I wanted to be a coach, I wanted to have my own business, but it was as a doctor initially. I wanted to have a clinic, and I wanted to have clinics all around the world. And because my parents wanted me to be a doctor, or at least I thought that was what they wanted, and I thought that's what I wanted. And so even that perfectionism mindset kind of creeped in there of wanting to do, for me, perfectionism was very much tied to the approval of other people, more less than, really, am I doing it 100%? But it was like, oh, is this something that everyone else is going to be approved of? Is this something that everyone else is going to like? And that was the type of perfectionism that was keeping me from making certain decisions and keeping me from just putting myself out there, because I was so concerned of whether other people were going to like it, because I then tied my value to that. I was like, oh, well, if they don't like it, then that means maybe this isn't something I should be doing. And so there's a lot of work around that piece. And, I started just, thinking about business and business names, and was taking tiny little steps over the years. But it wasn't until deciding to do, Dreamlife certification, I did all of my research. I am a, analytical thinker. I like to go and make sure that I've got all of my, I's dotted and T's crossed, also part of my perfectionism. But it was then, that's when I realized, okay, this is something that I can follow. It's a checklist. It's something that I can literally just follow step A to step B to step C. But then also, if I need to tweak however I can, then, that's also part of the process. And so, yeah, definitely had some fears about, especially starting my YouTube channel.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like people pleasing a bit.
Yes.
Making decisions based on what you think other people want you to do, and then potentially watching to see their reactions. So you do something, and then it's like, is this okay?
Mhm.
Do they like it? Do they not like it? What's the reaction going to be? And then basing your next step based on their reaction, which really gives these people, whether they're specific people in your family that you're thinking of, or friends, or like the internet world in general, it gives them so much power, doesn't it?
It does, way more than they need and should have.
Yes. Okay, so people pleasing, perfectionism kind of kept you in waffle land for a while. But then a 90-day U-turn. So at Dream Life Coaching, you go through the process yourself, and then you step in as a support coach so you can practice coaching and build your coaching confidence along the way. And so over the course of going through the content yourself, tell me a bit about what transitions or experiences you had throughout that process.
So I would say one of the biggest things for me was accepting imperfection as part of the building your business process. I loved how much you and other coaches talked about the process of get it out there, and then you can get feedback, and then that feedback helps you make it better. And then the teaching of how do you communicate that expectation to your clients? I know I realized in that first round 90-day U-turn, that was a fear that I had, because I just didn't know how to do it. I didn't know, how do I communicate to clients, or how do I even get those first round of clients who are going to be the type of support that I need as a business owner, because this is the first time, but then also they still get value from it. What does that look like? And so I would say that was a huge pivot point for me, was learning how to communicate that way, but then also accepting failure as growth, and looking at it more as progress instead of failure.
Yeah. So a couple things I'm hearing. Number one, you were supported in the action taking process. Like action is progress, and we'll go back and tweak, or we'll learn from it, or we'll get experience. The first time we do something is usually clunky, right? So the next time it always gets smoother. But you had support in the action process, which helps you to take more action, because then you've got accountability and people checking in and asking questions and holding you accountable and celebrating the wins. But then when you took that action, you also recognized that it didn't have to be the final, like, this is my $10 million video right here, right? Like you were able to say, this is part of the process. And so how did that free you up from actually taking action rather than standing stuck in fear?
It gave me a way to make things better. I think for me, it gave my brain a way to say, okay, if I don't do it well this time, that's fine. I have another time and another.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's super important to think through, is that it's not a black and white situation, right? Your eggs are not all in one basket. This launch is not the end all be all of your business. This is practice. And the more practice you do, the more times you open up your course, the more times you talk about it, the more videos you make, the better and easier things get.
Yeah, definitely. And another thing for me, especially my YouTube channel, is thinking, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's going to be out there forever. Like, it's just going to be this terrible video. But I'm like, you know what? That's an opportunity for my clients to see how I've grown and that I truly adhere to the things that I teach and that I practice and, things of that. So that's really helped me too, of looking at as value for my clients.
Yeah. In 90 Day U-Turn, you actually hear my dogs bark. And I was originally so embarrassed, because it's like, this should be so polished in a professional studio and all these things. But I've had people tell me throughout the years, it actually makes you feel more real.
It does.
And nobody has ever complained about a dog barking in the background.
I was like, oh, thank goodness. When I first went through it, I was like, oh, okay, if my dog barks, I won't feel terrible, because like Denise's dog barks, like it happens.
It happens. Yeah. So there's a bit more freedom rather than holding on tight for this being the thing or this needing to be the result. There you have open hand, open heart, and then freedom to create, which makes the business way more fun too.
Agreed.
Did you have a favorite part or favorite week of 90 Day U-Turn that stands out for you?
Oh, for me, the week when we talk about the 22 emotions is the week, I can't remember what number week that is, but that week for me was huge in just seeing what emotions are associated or can be associated with creativity versus when you're not in a creative mind, this could be what's going on. And for me, that was huge because there are so many moments where I want to sit down and I want to write. I've got it on my calendar and I'm like, okay, we're going to do this. And I'm like mental block. And I'm just like, okay, what's going on? And when we went through that exercise, I was like, oh, maybe it's, I now have a list of things that I can run through and be like, do I feel overwhelmed? Do I feel anxious? Do I feel depressed? Do I feel whatever? And then do some more reflection to see where I'm at. And that's helped me tremendously in just being able to plan and rearrange. And just even when I wake up in the morning, like, okay, today is not a creative day. That's fine. I have non-creative things that I can do on my list instead. So that was really awesome.
Yeah. So if you're on one side of the list, we would say this is when you're in creative mode. If you're on the other side of the list, that's when it most likely boredom is creeping in, right? And so boredom is at the top of that list. And then it goes all the way down to resentment and anger and all the other kind of more negative emotions or not positive emotions. But I love the way that you're looking at that, because you're able to say, okay, my juices are not flowing right now. Am I lonely? Am I sad? Am I anxious? Do I need to get my body moving? Do I need to journal? Do I need to listen to music? Like, what can I do to elevate my mood? And then the creative juices will come much easier. And when you're in business, that's a really helpful skill to have. So you're not pushing through and making things happen when it doesn't have to be that hard.
Yeah.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you feel like supported your growth over 90 Day U-Turn?
I would say I loved my support coach. She was phenomenal. Vonnie was great. And just the community that 90 Day U-Turn created, and just the celebrations in between during the weeks, and the connections at the beginning. And I love that we remember things and encourage each other in between the weeks, and the message, oh, how was that event? Or, hey, let me watch your YouTube video. Like, I love that so much. It was so great and encouraging, but also very empowering, because you saw so many other women making progress, and that kind of encouraged you to make progress. And then, but you knew it wasn't a competition because everyone's goals are so different, like same but different, if that makes sense. So you're heading in the same direction, but everyone's working on different things. And so you don't feel like you're competing against one another. And so it's such just an amazing environment where you're just empowered and encouraged to not only empower and encourage other people, but to, empower and encourage yourself.
And then you got to step in as a support coach, which is really fun, especially if you have a great support coach experience, and then you get to provide that experience to in your next round of 90-day U-turn, where you get coaches or get clients to coach. You work through the breakout rooms, you're facilitating those, and you get practice doing what you want to do. And we do this for a few reasons, right? Because the more you coach, the more you go, oh my gosh, I love this. Oh my gosh, I was made for this. And the more you do it, the better you get, the more automatic it becomes. And so I wanted to have a section in the curriculum where it wasn't just read a book and go do it with clients, but you get to use the skills right here, right now with clients to build that confidence and then get feedback from me along the way. Tell me how it's been being a support coach.
I love being a support coach. It's so amazing to see someone else go through the same transformations and thought processes and pivot points that I did in the previous round of 90-day U-turn, to be like, oh, yep, no, I remember. And I've gotten so much feedback too, and saying how valuable that is for the person that I'm supporting, to know that I have been through all of those stages already before them, that I almost felt like there was some level of immediate trust built because of that. Like going into, they already knew I had gone through the program. So they knew I was doing exactly what they were doing. They knew that aspect of it. And it's just been absolutely phenomenal and fun. And I've loved getting the feedback from you, because it's feedback, even though I've coached and mentored in the financial industry and the military, I wasn't taking my entire conversations and giving it to my mentor, my supervisor, saying, hey, can you just like digest this? So the way that you're able to just provide the feedback that you do because of how you go about doing that is just so valuable.
It's, in my opinion, it's so helpful and validating to like know you're on the right path. Like, yes, these are the questions. And then to have, here's some of my other ideas and other ways that you can take it. And I feel like just having the space to get that feedback, to brainstorm together, to process through it together is a part of that growth process. So you start thinking like a coach, you start seeing patterns, you start pulling exercises, you're like, oh, she needs this one. And you're able to see kind of the process that clients go through. And because you were one too, you were a client that went through the process, and now you're able to see new clients coming in with that same insecurity, perfectionism, people pleasing, fear, lots of decisions to be made, all these things. And you have tools that you know are going to support them. Priceless. Oh. All right. So you've got one more call, I think, and then we'll be kind of certifying you as a Dream Life Coach. You've got your own programs that you will be running. You'll be able to launch 90-day U-turn as well. Tell us about your free Facebook group, your YouTube channel. How can people continue to learn more and learn from you?
Yeah, so I have a free and exclusive Facebook group. It's called Happier, Calmer, Stronger, the Productivity and Wellbeing Community, where I share regular resources, I hold challenges. I also ask lots of questions throughout the week to help my community think, level up their thinking, whether it's about their vision or their goals or their habits, wherever they may be when it comes to productivity and well-being. And also my YouTube channel, Lim Suan Global. And that is where I launch 4 videos a month. And I just share my journey when it comes to productivity, well-being. I share my favorite tips and resources and tools. And so that's where folks can find me.
Awesome. We'll put the links to that. I'll add the links to that in the social media and then also on the podcast. And so who would you say your ideal client is?
My ideal client is the busy, frustrated, overwhelmed woman who she feels like she has to sacrifice her well-being to get everything done. And that is where in my community and with my clients, I focus on how do we create harmony between those two things? How do we harmonize your productivity and your well-being so you can be a healthier version of yourself and a more productive version of yourself so you can have a happier, calmer, and stronger life.
You can do it all, and you don't have to sacrifice yourself in the process. Yes. Awesome. I love that. Well, what would you say to somebody who is either considering joining 90 Day in the next round or has been brewing the idea just like you to become a coach maybe for years and is considering becoming a coach? What would you say to them?
I would say if you haven't jumped on a call with Denise, do so. And just talk through every fear, anxiety, whatever it is you may have, because she is going to give you the space to do that. And she wants to make sure that it's something that is right for you. And if it's right for you, it's right for you. Don't second guess yourself. Don't second question yourself. Like, just do it.
Yeah. Well, and the skills that you learn, we talk about this all the time, right? It's not like 90 Day U-Turn is a 3-month program. And it's not like in 3 months, you go back to your normal everyday life. Like you leave shifted and you're now on a new trajectory, right? And these are skills that you can utilize again and again and again. We've got a lot of clients who've done 90 Day U-Turn more than once. They teach the skills to their kids. Like it makes their whole family better. The ripple effect of you growing and getting better is that everybody wins. And then upgrade to become a coach, right? Because once you know you love the content, you're like, yeah, everybody in the world needs it.
Yes, everybody needs it.
Everybody needs it. Which is why Dream Life coaches are never in competition, because everybody needs these skills and this content, but we all have different niches. We all have different ways that we do it. And I think that's beautiful. So if you're interested in becoming a coach or learning more about 90 Day U-Turn, our next round starts in January. Comment coach below and I'll reach out and we'll schedule a quick call, just like Gayleen said, to see if this is a great fit for you. So is there anything else that you want to add before we say goodbye?
Oh, definitely take advantage of that next round of 90 Day U-Turn that's happening in January.
It's going to take
you're off right.
Exactly. It literally will like catapult you in 2025. It's one of those things. It's like you can have the same hamster wheel of a year, or you can do something different. And now is the time to do something different. All right. Well, thank you so much, Gayleen, for sharing a bit of your story and your successes with us. I'm excited for your clients to work with you to find that harmony between productivity, getting stuff done, and filling our soul in the process. You are an amazing coach. You're a great support coach. Everybody has loved getting to know you, add value each and every week. And thank you so much for being here. So for those of you that are listening in, be sure to comment coach below to learn more. And we'll see you same time, same place next week. Bye.
Thanks, Denise.